There are so many joys of being a homesteader. One of my favorites is enjoying the literal fruits and produce of my labor. Another one of my favorites is the connection that we get to experience on a daily basis with the animals. Before homesteading, we were like most people whose main interaction with animals was just that of cats and dogs and maybe fish.
You're so weird.
But now, in addition to cats and dogs, which we do have here, we also have ducks and chickens and goats, and we also get to interact with other kind of animals too. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
Josiah loves frogs and toads. That's one you're missing.
Yeah, we have plenty of those around here too. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we brought home 50 chicks and 13 ducklings. And we got them all set up in the brooder.
And as time went by, they started fledging out and getting bigger, and it was time to move them outside.
And it's so neat moving them outside on the grass for the very first time, seeing them eat the grass and run around and play in it. And after moving them outside, they were doing just fine until tragedy struck. The temperatures dropped, and overnight we unexpectedly got 3 to 4 inches of rain. Oh, this is just terrible. Oh, man.
It was really sad going out there and seeing, 30 dead birds, which is over half of that little flock that we had. And, those were going to be meat birds for us. And thankfully, Sayla and I were able to move a little over 20 of them back into the brooder and put heat lamps on them and get them back looking good.
I'm not looking forward to this. Less glamorous side of homesteading. This is definitely the worst that I've ever had this happen. This is the most that I've ever lost as far as our animals at one time. This is just tough to deal with, because these were going to be meat birds for us and for others. So these are just some of the less glamorous and less romantic sides of homesteading. With all the rain and the temperature dropping, it just was too much for them to handle. Thankfully, Lacie was able to save some, her and Sayla. Man, there's a lot of birds gone. I think this is almost like 30 birds or something like that. Man. Got some more back here. And that was the worst thing that can happen to chickens, is for them to be wet and cold. They usually can handle one, but not both. And after a couple days of the birds being in the brooder, drying out and getting themselves back together, moved them back outside. These seem to be doing a lot better. Glad that they made it through. We're not supposed to have any more rain like that coming up. So they should be fine outside, but I'm gonna go ahead and put a heat lamp out there just to make sure. Some grass? You want to see him eat the grass? And I'm happy to get them back out there, but I'm still bummed that we lost 30 birds. It's like 50, we got 50, and the plan was for 50 birds to be meat for us and have one whole chicken a week, so close to a year, but bummer.
Homesteading's hard.
Yeah, that's challenging. Some of the challenges, it's not all glamorous sometimes on the homestead. But thankfully, we got some turkeys. We got some midget poults, and I was pretty happy about that. I'm still bummed about the chickens, losing those chicks, but it's like, all right, maybe these will kind of replace the chicks and kind of take my mind off the chicks, and it's like, all right, we're gonna focus on the baby turkeys now. Our little yellow puff-balls.
Come to Papa.
Do you want to hold them?
We both hold them. Yeah, then can both be on both sides then.
There you go.
Papa.
And it was really neat getting these turkeys because we've never raised poults before, turkeys, and I was like, that's pretty exciting. However, I heard that they can be more challenging than chicks. We've been having the chick challenges, so hopefully we weren't going to have any challenges with the poults. And we've learned that overall, ducklings, baby ducklings, are the easiest of the baby birds to raise, and then chicks are easy, but not as easy as the ducklings. So we're taking on this challenge with the poults, who are supposed to be harder than the chicks and the ducklings. So we're going to see how it goes.
Now, we've raised a lot of chicks and ducklings before, and with this new experience with little turkeys, we were excited, and we know that you're always going to lose a couple chicks or ducklings. I mean, that's just normally the rule of thumb. Well, we started really looking at our turkeys, and they started showing some signs of having some issues. So it's like just another thing, right? We made sure we put together the electrolyte water for them to get them a good start, and we dunked their beaks. We did all of that, but we still kept seeing signs of them not doing so well. So one, I brought inside with me so I could hold it, and I was working. And as the day went on, the kids kept bringing me more baby turkeys, and you know, it just started to not look so good.
And the main problem that they were having was they would fall on their back and they couldn't get back up, and we were constantly flipping them over, putting them back, but then they just kept falling right back again, and it was just like, what is going on?
And then they just started dying. Yay, like we hadn't had enough death. And all of them except two ended up dying, and it was really sad. especially your first time raising turkeys. And we've been doing this homestead thing for a while, and we've raised, I don't even know how many chicks. And to have all this death in a short amount of time, like, really, really sucked.
Whew. So all that happened, and I was just like, let me get my mind off all this and let's just do some other things on the homestead. So I was working and cleaning up some stuff, and then I came across this netting that was on the ground, and a snake was all inside the netting. It was like, how in the world did you do this to yourself? Now, if it was a venomous snake, I would probably be like, oh, wow, good. Let's get this one out of here and out of the way from hurting anybody. But this was a black snake, one of the non-venomous ones that are good. And especially with having mice and rats from time to time here, I'm like, we definitely want to have a black snake here, black snakes to be able to help with that. So I was like, we need to get this snake out of this net.
And it looked pitiful. Like, really, it was so wrapped up in there. It looked pitiful.
So we just gradually started cutting it out piece by piece from the netting, and it was just being able to start to be able to move just a little bit more, because it was, I don't think it would have made it much longer in the netting.
No.
It wasn't moving much at all.
I think probably by that afternoon it would have been dead.
Yeah.
So
we were just kept working at it and working at it and working at it, and finally it was free. Almost got it. Almost got it. There we go.
there you go.
Rough day.
There you go.
Free. For now. Well, we did contact Murray McMurray Hatchery about the baby turkeys that died, because they have a great guarantee policy for any birds that you lose shortly after receiving them. And they said that they were going to replace those birds. So, whew, yeah.
It's nice to know.
It is nice to know. And we didn't contact them about the chicks because that was totally on us, totally on me and the rain for losing those. And they were about a month old or so. So, whew, man, it is what it is on those. But we did receive another batch of Cornish cross chicks from Murray McMurray Hatchery, as well as a few heritage turkeys that we're excited about, and they're running around the brooder right now and having a good old time. So happy that we have another batch of birds in addition to the survivors that you saved. So thank you for that. And I do want to recommend, if you're looking for a great place to get birds, ducklings, chickens, pheasants, guineas, you have some of those coming up.
Guineas are coming.
Highly recommend Murray McMurray Hatchery. You can check out the link in the show notes below for those guys. So looking forward to seeing how these guys out there, these little ones, develop. Hopefully there'll be no more 4 inches of rain and no more problems. We'll just have to see.